Americans have a lot more in common than they know. And I'm really talking about the separation of wealth, classism, what class you're in America. I'm not talking about race or anything like that. I'm specifically talking about classism. Americans have a lot in common. And I'm qualified to talk about this because I've been all over this country. I've been outside this country and all over the world, but specifically I've been all over the country being America, the USA. And I'm in little small towns, I'm in big cities, and everything in between. So it's not just me talking about it just to talk about it. I actually have real life experience. One thing that is kind of sad to me is that the country is somewhat divided. Everybody knows the history of America and strife that's between, different races in America. Probably they have an idea why, right? If you just go back to history. But as of now, and we're in 2024 and it's been going on more than ever, a lot of people are connected through what they have financially, assets, and what they don't have. And a lot of Americans are going through the same thing, even though they're different races. So you may have an American who is this race, an American who is this race, and they're going through the same exact things or very similar things. And they're in very similar positions. And they have no clue. And then when it comes to politics, that's another thing that's so fascinating to me. And the older I get, the more and more it's fascinating to me. Because politics is just really, at the end of the day, it's what you think it is, or some of you don't think it is, which is manipulation of people, a division of people. That's pretty much what politics is about. And it's about the people at the top maintaining power. And I'm not just talking about the individual people, I'm talking about big business and other special interests at the top that's really running things. Getting back to the topic of most Americans being in the same predicament but not even knowing, look, when you go to, like, let's say Appalachia country, which I've been to, West Virginia, Kentucky, I've been all over the Rust Belt, Ohio, this year on my own dime, mainly because, number one, I'm very interested in seeing things, and I'm very interested in understanding and then actually going out and seeing it, boots on the ground. And also I have a hobby, right? I ride mountain bikes. I also ride dirt bikes, four-wheelers, all that type of stuff, where you go in the back country and you get it in. So I have two reasons why I end up in those type of spots, even though I live right in one of the major cities that you can think of. So I'm pretty much a city boy, but I'm always in the country. And what I'm realizing is, in the city and in the country, you just have people who don't have it. I guess the technical term is called people who have been left behind. And that is this type of people, and that's this type of people. They've been left behind. And a lot of times I'm noticing that they're at odds, but they're in the same position. They're in the same position. And I've been noticing this for the past 15 years. Right now, what we have is this type of people who are being left behind, don't have anything as far as assets. And you have this type of people who are left behind and don't have anything as far as assets. And they're in the same position. They really are. Overall, in general, they're in the same position. But sometimes they're at odds. And right now, what you're seeing here in this election is you're seeing that this group of people who have been left behind have a candidate they feel as though is going to help them out. And then you have this group of people who have been left behind have a candidate that they feel is going to help them out, or a party that's going to help them out. And at the end of the day, none of these parties are going to help any of these two, because the only thing that can help these people is a change of mindset and education. And when you are left behind, a lot of times it's a vicious spiral down. And what I mean by down is it feeds on itself. So you don't have anything, any assets, any money. That affects your health. That affects how you're eating. It affects drugs that come into play, domestic violence, divorce rate, lack of fathers, or family structure. They call it the nuclear family. All that is involved in being left behind and not having money and assets. Because most of the time, people that have money and assets, they also have other people around them that have money and assets. And they have more resources. And they have more information. They're typically healthier. They go to better schools. They have better networks. And it's also a thing that feeds on itself, where they become more wealthy and they raise their standard of living up even more. Where again, it's the opposite of people who are left behind and who are poor. It feeds on itself, and their standard of living goes down and down and down every single year, every single month, every single week. That's how it works. And again, I see this when I'm out. It's very clear. It's crystal clear. And you have it in those backcountry areas, but you also have it in more congested areas like the cities, and those areas like on the coastline. I'm talking about black and white, but you can also throw Hispanic in there. They're in the same position also. When I say same position, meaning that just because you're black, white, or Hispanic, that doesn't mean you're left behind and doing bad. It's all about classism nowadays, for the most part. And so you can have somebody black, Hispanic, or white, and of course you can throw Asians and Indians and all that in there, even though they're typically doing well. They'll be in a good position. They'll have a nice job, business, wealth, assets, health, take vacations. So overall, what I'm trying to say here in this video is that it's all about classism nowadays. And you have people out here, different races, they're in the same position. They don't have any money. They don't have any assets. That's a self-fulfilling spiral downwards, where it comes to poor health, lack of the nuclear family, violence, drug addiction, and the list goes on and on and on. And then you have people who have wealth and you have assets, and that's a spiral going up, where they have more resources, they have their health because they have healthy options for eating, they understand the importance of health, they have money, wealth, good school systems, education, and their kids are thriving. Whereas the people who don't have it, their kids are suffering. And at the end of the day, it will be good to see people recognize that. And I think in the future, people are going to start recognizing it even more and more and more. And I'm not saying that's going to change anything, but I think they'll start recognizing that they have more in common than not. Like, comment, subscribe, be healthy, wealthy, wise. Talk to you guys tomorrow.